Alright, here we go, boys. Quick video update of the K24 Civic, but today we aren't working on the K24 Civic. We have a customer car here that we're going to try to help him get out of a hole that he got himself into. I really hate that this happened to him. He went through a bunch of mistakes. He actually kind of did the swap backwards. A guy was starting to do the shaving. They never finished it off, so now what he wants to do is just get the car running. So he contacted me about getting the car done. He's seen my work through YouTube, so I said I would be able to help him. So quick look at the engine bay. It's completely stripped. I'm just gonna put back what we need to get the engine started. He's gonna drive the car around, get a feel for it. Everything will come back out, and he'll get the engine bay finished up. So I'll show you guys what I'm gonna start with, what I'm gonna do, and what you should and shouldn't do when you're doing your kswap. Also where you should start from start to finish. First things first, what I like to do is put the complete swap together out of the car. You want to put your transmission, the engine, all the components while it's out of the car. It just makes everything a lot more simple. So what I'm going to start with here is going to put the water pump back on here. But what I wanted to show you guys was this gem here, the Honda Ultra Flange. What you want to start with is cleaning your surface. I've already cleaned it off with a razor blade to try to get most of the surfaces real nice and clean. Now what I'm gonna do is use this scuff pad, and I'm just gonna scuff it to get it real nice and clean here, and I'll show you guys after I'm done. Alright, so we got our surface clean. Once you get it silver looking like this, what you're doing is you're just trying to let's see if it focuses in here. You guys see there, our surface clean. But what I wanted to show you guys is real quick, what I like to do with all of my work is I use OEM hardware. So I'll show you guys how I clean the hardware just to make it look nice and neat once it does go back onto the engine. Just real simple. What I like to do is I like to spray the bolts, just let them sit with simple green, just straight simple green, and you guys see that dirt is already coming off. After you use the simple green, just wipe it down real quick. I'm gonna use my heavy duty wire wheel from the 1980s. You guys can find one of these bad boys at Harbor Freight for like maybe 30-40 bucks. So if you don't already have one, and then just like that, you got yourself a brand new OEM Honda bolt. We have our hardware nice, clean, and neat. I'm going to show you guys how we install the Honda Bond or the Ultra Flange. It comes ready to work. You just screw that bad boy on there. You squeeze real quick on the little lever, and I'll show you guys why I say this thing works so lovely. So just like that, you're done with your Honda Bond as far as applying it. Alright, so we're gonna put this bad boy on there real nice and smooth. Got my hardware ready. So you don't need to put it on both sides, you just need to put it on one end, not the long block or the block. You just want to put it on the water pump itself. So now what you want to do is you do want to tighten this in an X pattern lightly, maybe just hand tight, so you get a nice seal. So now that you got your first X pattern tightening, I like to just get it nice and tight by hand. I believe the torque spec on this is like 60. I think it's about 60 pounds of torque, but I've done this so many times, I kind of already know where it seals. But for those new guys that want to double make sure, you can go on google.com and find the information. So now that we got the water pump nicely installed, I do want to show you guys the idler pulley setup we're going with, which is a T7's design. But what I wanted to show you guys is the layout. For some reason T7 Designs doesn't give you an instruction sheet with it, so you just kind of got to go with the flow. I'll try to do my best explaining it also. Reason why I'm doing the video in this way is because if you guys ever go with a K24, you guys will need to change the water pump housing, and while you're at it, you might as well do the T7 Design idler pulley. Really high quality, comes with a Gates belt. Let me see if I could zoom in here. Real nice quality. So on the hardware, I just kind of lined it up where it looks like it's gonna fit, and it all lined up really well. This is just a visual for those guys that are going to be doing it. Alright, so first you're going to take your two, which is going to be the smaller bolts here. You'll see where they fit into the bracket and your block. Now we're going to do this upper bracket. You guys will see where your bolts will kind of line up. Again, this is going to be more of a visual. And this will go on here like this, actually. Real nice and neat. Starting to look real nice on here. Alright, so I did go ahead and get all the hardware nice and tight. You are going to use a 6 Allen. So now we're going to go ahead and use our OEM alternator. Gonna go ahead and install this bad boy here. I'm gonna use the top bolt for now just to kind of hold it in place for me. Now for the bottom hardware, you are gonna want to use the 2 extra bolts you have in the end with a washer, and then after you put those washers on there, T7 does offer spacers. I'm guessing one is, let me see, let's get them out the bag really quick. Alright, so it looks like they're all the same. They're probably just giving you an extra set of spacers. So what you want to do is, let me get the camera here so I can show you. So right there you can see where your spacer is needed for your stock alternator. You're going to put your spacer right in between the two. Put that bolt with the washer at the bottom. And just like that, we have our alternator installed. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and then I'll show you guys the belt process. Alright, so we have our alternator nice and tight, cleaned it up a bit so the customer is nice and happy with the install. So now we're gonna install the belt. Again, no instruction. Real simple install though. I know a lot of guys get confused if you're new to it. Real simple. Come back up and over here. And then you're pretty much done with your belt there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add tension. So first and more importantly, make sure that your pulley is nice and tight with the crush washer to the tensioner side. Now you're just gonna wanna go ahead and add hand tension here, because this bolt, what it's doing, it's gonna hold the tensioner in place while you tighten the backside to keep it nice and secure. You don't want to add too much tension, you just want to add enough where it won't slip and it'll just keep a nice smooth rotation. So right there is nice and tight. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these back bolts, which I'll show you. So you guys see the tension there, that's pretty good tension. And then our bolt here, which is what secures our tension. So right there, what I did is I just kind of tightened it so the pulley's back up straight. I'm gonna give it maybe one full turn Check my tension, that's pretty good. I'll give it one more turn just to be nice and tight. That's pretty good there. Now these are the ones that are gonna hold your tensioner in place. So you wanna make sure that you secure these, and that's why they come with the crush washer on the back side as well, because that's what's gonna keep it nice and tight. There you guys go, your T7's design. Idler pulley delete and alternator relocator kit. Alright, so now that we got our idler pulley installed onto our engine and everything's pretty much assembled as far as everything that's hard to get to, we're going to go ahead and clean up the engine bay and get started with the rack and pinion swap. And I'll show you guys the parts we're using. So to start, we're going to cut our fuel lines. That way, once the engine's in here, we won't have trouble accessing that, because we'll do the fuel in a future video, so you guys can get all the information on that. For the rack and pinion, we're using an eBay style rack, which is like a refurbished OEM style. You could find one of these bad boys for about 150 bucks on eBay. For the outer tie rods, I like to go with Moog. Their parts are close to OEM replacement if you cannot get a hold of the OEM replacement. Real nice quality, so I've always used these in the past, and their ball joints really good. For our rack bushing mount, we did go with the NRG Tech, because for the manual rack and the power steering rack, you guys will have two different brackets, and I will show you guys the difference, and I can also show you how to utilize the OEM one. Alright boys, so real quick, I just want to show you before I get this rack and pinion off. So a lot of you guys use that pick, and eventually that joint pick, it'll mess up your boots, and that's a bad thing, because your seals will go bad, your joints will go dry. So now what I like to do is, Honda made this bump here, and I'll show you guys real quick. Let's get this thing off. So Honda made this little bump here where you hit it with a hammer nice and tight, and this joint should pop up based on the pressure. You guys see right there, real nice and simple. Just wanted to share that gem. Guys, another quick gem while we're at it. So when you guys take out your rack and pinion, before you guys take it out, make sure that your steering wheel is straight, because what you guys want to do is you want to replace the rack and pinion but keep your alignment somewhat like what it was, so you can at least drive your car back to the alignment shop without tearing up your alignment so bad. It will mess up your tires within a mile or two. You guys wouldn't believe what it can do. This is some crazy stuff. I've seen it before. So what I like to do is I like to kind of set my tie rod here like so, and kind of get like within the same distance on both ends, so that way when you guys put the rack and pinion back in, you'll be close to alignment without having too much guesstimation. Alright guys, so we got our rack and pinion nice and lined up as good as we possibly can, so we can get to a close to straight alignment as possible. Now here's what I wanted to show you guys as far as the NRG bracket. It's kind of hard to find this bracket from the manual power steering, and as you guys can see, the bracket is a lot bigger than the mount, because on the manual power steering the bar is a lot thinner than it is on the power steering. So if you guys can see here, that bracket won't fit there. So what we used to do back in the day is we used to take this bushing, cut it in half, put that bushing here, then we used to take this like this and then just get it mounted on there. But that's kind of like the ghetto way of doing it, if we may say. So if you guys want to be nice and neat, you get the NRG Tech mount, and as you guys can see, it fits on there nice and lovely. So fits like OEM. It's just hard to find that OEM bracket. Now that our rack and pinion is out, we're gonna go ahead and use our handy dandy tube cutter, and we're gonna cut our fuel lines here, because I'm gonna be showing you guys how to route your fuel, or at least how to get started before you put your swap in, because it just makes it a lot more simple to get all this situated before your swap goes in. Alright, so real quick, boys, we are here with the fuel lines, and what I did is you have to cut this like insulation tube off. So you want to take a razor and just cut real nice and neat around where the cutter will fit, and you will have to do this to the feed and the return. You won't need the vent no more, so that one we're just gonna delete it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting these, and I'll try to show you guys how I do it, that way you guys have a visual. So you guys will see your cut to start, and you guys just keep turning, and eventually this pipe will just cut off and fall off. We got both of our lines cut, and here's what I'm trying to tell you guys. It just makes it real nice and simple working inside of the engine bay. So now that we're done with these lines, now that we put our swap in, it's easy access to do our fittings. I can do the fittings now, but I want to save that content for you guys for a different video. Alright, there we go, boys. Got our rack and pinion installed nice and neat with the NRG Tech mount like I mentioned. Bolts right up like factory. Have our fuel lines cut. I do have to order the OEM covers for the rack and pinion. That shouldn't be too much of a hassle getting installed. So I'll show you guys real quick as far as the alignment. You guys can kind of see it's semi straight, and our tie rods are nice and installed with our cotter pins nice and safe. So I did want to mention to you guys, something's going on with my Instagram. I'm not sure what's going on. It says I was suspended. I did contact Instagram. They said it was a mistake that was made. So hopefully I get my Instagram back. We do still have the Type R giveaway going. So just to make sure that you guys are still up to date with everything, I might have to make a second Instagram just because I'm not sure when I'll be getting my Instagram back. So we'll keep you guys updated as far as that goes. We do have a bunch more updates coming up as far as this car goes. I just wanted to show you guys how to prep your engine bay before doing your engine swap. So now what we're gonna do is get this puppy installed. Hey boys, so just like that, we have our kswap in. I just need to do the rear transmission bracket, which is really simple. The mount kit is pretty self-explanatory as far as where the mounts go located, as far as your bolts and how the placement is. So right now I do have this engine on the lowest setting. Right here you're going to be able to swap your mount. If you swap it the other way, it's actually going to let it sit higher because of the way the mount sits. Right now we have it on the low setting just so it sits nice and flush up here. Mainly designed for the K24, that way the K24 sits low and then you have clearance with your hood. But yeah, pretty simple. The guy that brought me the swap brought me the manifold like this, so we're probably gonna touch it up just so we get that nice clean look. But yeah, got everything going. I'm gonna tidy up with the sensors. Gonna finish off the water neck. I think we're gonna block it off because we're gonna do no heat. So yeah, so if you guys would like to stay updated with everything going on this particular swap, make sure to stay tuned and we will keep you guys going with the updates.